I think there is a common refrain that the Mavericks are going to be kicking themselves for a long, long time for not getting that one. There is this sentiment that the Boston Celtics did not hit a bunch of threes. Jason Tatum wasn't that good. Boston kind of screwed around there at the end and made it a closer game than it should have been. And in the end, if you give up 105, you need to be able to get 106, and that was not the case. And I agree with all of that. That is one of those. I watched the press conferences afterwards, and one of the things Jason Kidd was saying was our defense was good enough. Like, our defense is keeping us in this thing. We've got to get our offense going. And then Luka takes the stand, and Luka says, we lost because I missed free throws and I turned the ball over. Yeah. Now, obviously, that's just being a good leader. Mm-hmm. And he's got to get some other guys to come along to the charge, not the least of which is Kyrie Irving, who has shot the ball poorly thus far. But I do think that, I told you guys going into this, there needs to be a range where it's not getting out of control, that it's a manageable number that they can score. And I thought in game one, I know that the Dogs were called off the last 6 minutes, but I also thought that the defense was, they made a ton of threes in the first game, did Boston, and Dallas shot like crap. And again, if you're not letting that game get to the 110s and 120s, you could play that game. And instead, I thought what happened last night was, especially with the way it started out, I was like, man, they are missing a lot of shots. That's variance. Like, this stuff happens, right? Like, sometimes they make a ton of threes, sometimes they don't make a ton of threes. And I did think they were doing better contesting it. They were also doing much better at getting the ball and getting out. And then that kind of stopped, right? Like, it felt like at the beginning it was like, okay, now they're going to play with pace. They're not going to let Boston set up on defense. And so when they were getting the ball, they were going, and then that kind of slowed down a little bit as the game went on. Also, the turnovers were crucial because it feels like Boston really gains a lot of momentum off of those turnovers.
Especially that half-court joint when the one with Luka came down and threw it and then he deflected back and then Jrue Holiday tipped it. I'm like, yeah, what are you doing?
So I guess here's the question. The question is, do you view it more, wow, that was closer, a lot closer, and they didn't get down by 29, so they had a chance in that thing, and they, look, if you're just going to have to tip your cap, if you're just going to have a bad Kyrie all series, they're not going to have a chance.
Yeah.
Or do you look at it and go, yo, you ain't getting another Boston game where they're playing like that, and you still couldn't win? What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm on the second.
That was a crap Boston game, and you still couldn't win.
I unfortunately think the Mavs
I'm on the second one because you missed, and the thing is, Boston missed so many wide open threes. It wasn't just like
Dallas missed a lot of wide open threes.
You did a better job of contesting, but there's still some times where you just lazily didn't contest, and it's like, okay, you hoped it didn't go in, and I was like, well, that's the backbreaker. They miss it. So you gave up a lot of I feel like Dallas had to struggle to score many times.
But in fairness, Dallas had a ton of wide open threes that they missed as well. Yeah. And no one's talking about how they miss every three. They've missed every three for 2 straight games.
Yeah,
I think they're just supposed to be the better team.
I didn't.
On paper.
I got you.
I didn't feel that that Dallas missed as many as Boston did. It felt like every Boston was just,
three.
I mean, butt naked. There's just nobody near them.
Percentages.
I think that, look, I know what Missoula said about Porzingis, but they either have to do one of two things. Either not get killed in the Porzingis minutes, which they get killed when he's on the court.
Smashed.
The first two, they're getting smashed. So you either have to not get smashed, or if you're going to get smashed in those minutes, you have to smash Boston in the non-Porzingis minutes.
Well, and the other thing is, and I'm going to get to a bunch of the stats, but you guys are all on board with they played like crap and you still couldn't beat them. Or not crap, but they clearly were not at peak of power.
It was their dud.
And you still didn't beat them.
It was their dud, and you weren't able to capitalize on it. It makes you feel like crap. Because you got a good PJ Washington game. You got a decent Daniel Gafford game. It's like you couldn't capitalize.
I still think Dallas can do other stuff. I don't think this is over. I don't watch the Boston team and think they're a juggernaut. Like I will not be shocked if it comes back 2-2, but it could be 3-1. Yeah, it's not going to shock me.
NBA Finals MVP.
Oh, I would be. I tell you this, I would be stunned if they lose 3. Absolutely stunned.
Yeah, I don't see that team losing 4 times, bro.
I would be. No, I'm saying in game 3.
In game, yeah.
I will be stunned.
So I would think.
It's a home game.
First game home.
There's also total backs against the wall.
Yeah, you're
home
gonna have
crowd
to.
in a total frenzy. That Boston team has been in a lot of different series before. It's not life or death to them, right? You can't, as they always say, you can't fake desperation, and that is I would imagine Luka goes crazy. Role players start missing shots, crowd goes crazy, and Boston's like, all right, let's get 4, right? So that we can close it out in 5.
Lost 3 and 4, like both.
So it would not stun me if they lost both.
No, it would. No, just because of the ebb and flow of series, and we have seen, again, a lot is going to hinge on. I know that he says he's fine. You see him running at the end of that game?
Yeah, he couldn't move.
Porzingis, and he is the thing that unlocks it. Like Rosa was saying, the numbers are freakish. Yeah. They have nothing for him.
He's double,
and role players do play a lot better at home. That is typically the case, right? Like, so, and even last night, man, they play with their food at the end.
Oh, they do.
And you saw, I was watching, if Derek White did not hit that, like there was the turnover where they didn't even get it past half court, right? They kind of juggled it around. Dallas did.
Yeah.
And then they threw it to half court, and Drew Holiday again, who was easily
awesome.
The best player on the floor last night. He steals it, goes down the other end, throws it back. Derek White hits that 3. And that was the moment that I thought, okay, game over. And then I think they hit another 3, and it was like 14.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying in my head, there's like 3.5 minutes left, something like that. I don't know. I'd have to check the number. But I remember.
That's the play I was talking about. I was like, bro, what are you doing, Luka?
Yeah, this one.
What the hell are you doing?
This is terrible.
Throw the ball the other way,
and
bro.
then they throw back to Derek White. And this was just enormous because they've got they've gotten it to 8 with 4 minutes left to go, and that cracked it to 11, and then it went up even more.
They hit a 3
and
after
I
that,
remember thinking, "Oh wow, you're gonna have to go on like a 14-0 run to end this game in a short amount of time. You're gonna have to go on a 14-0 run." And it like started to unfold. I'm like, oh my god!
And they didn't call.
It was like 9-0,
and they didn't call and then they didn't call the foul.
Yeah, it was 9-0. They got it to 5, and it's like, man, they got to play with their food there at the end. But the problem is, I texted you guys, and I said, I just hope we get to see this thing go down to the end. And Roser's response was, why? So Jason Tatum can throw it out of bounds or miss a shot, and you guys can goof on me?
He would have done that.
That's the level of confidence you had.
The Chris Vernon Show, presented by Caesars Sportsbook, live weekdays at noon